Fellow tennis nerds, I'm here again. Coach Adri, he's back. I know you love it by now. I've seen the response. If you haven't watched them, check them out. Today we're going to talk about the double-handed backhand, which is not his stroke, but we're going to give some pointers in the way he teaches it. And also the player he works with, Safiullin, right now is a double-handed backhand player. So he's seen enough double-handed backhands in his days on the tour.
Yeah, so as Jonah just mentioned, that my natural swing is a one-handed backhand. I've been hitting like that since I was a very young kid. But I do teach two-handed backhands. I know how the mechanics works. I know how the biomechanic works. I feel like I know all that. Of course, it's my way of seeing it, my way of teaching it. Doesn't need to be the right way, but I hope that I can give you some bits and pieces that can maybe work for you. And if it doesn't, well, fair enough, but I'll give it a go to give you my best.
All right, so one thing that confuses one-handed backhand players, and I can hit a double-handed backhand in sometimes on returns and stuff, but it's like usually the grip that is very confusing unless you get taught the right one from a young age. So what kind of grip tips do you have?
Yeah, I mean, it is a little bit confusing because you have two hands on the racket, so you don't have to worry about just one hand having the right grip, like on a one-handed backhand or the forehand. On the backhand, you have two hands on the racket, so you really need to make sure to have the right grip with both hands. So let's say it's double the complication, but let's try to keep it simple. So with your right hand, what you want to do, I mean, if you're right-handed, please mirror this if you're left-handed. The right hand should be totally hammer grip, or it can be slightly closed, okay, slightly eastern towards the backhand. Left hand, palm on the string, just slide it down, and as soon as you touch hands, you wrap around, okay? This should be a grip. It could either be right hand hammer grip or a little bit closed. Your left hand should be like this. There are some pros holding the racket a little bit, let's say western with the left hand. On the preparation, the strings are kind of facing downwards, which we want to try to avoid. I say this because I did mention this on the forehand, that you want to have the easiest swing to do when you're in defense positions. And if you're running and your strings are facing to the floor as you're running, as you're defending, there's a lot of things going on, there's a lot of stress. The ball's coming fast, you're moving, the ball is bouncing, there is spins, and on top of that, your strings are facing the floor. Very often you're going to be hitting it in the net, maybe hitting the net cord. I've even seen sometimes the ball bouncing on your own court, which let's try to avoid. So if you have a little bit more of an open racket, that helps you clear the net, especially when you're in defense positions. On the backhand side, on the double-handed backhand, you want to have an open racket face, okay, totally parallel strings looking towards the side fence. On the forehand, we did talk about patting the dog, but let's go for, on the backhand, have a straight racket, totally flat racket face facing the side fence, okay? From that position, you drop, you go forward, and then as you're going to impact, you brush the ball, a little bit like a windshield wiper, like a one-handed backhand like we talked about in the first video. The main difference is on a one-handed backhand, you only have one hand to do this motion. It's a lot heavier for the arm. I mean, you're holding the racket on the furthest part of the racket, so it's heavier. You need a lot of forearm, you need a lot of technique, a lot of repetition to get that done smoothly. On the two-handed backhand, I say that use 80% left hand, okay?
Non-dominant hand if you're right-handed or left-handed.
Right, or non-dominant. I'm talking as a righty. Like I said in the beginning, please mirror exactly what I'm saying if you're a lefty, okay? It's the same, just mirror it. 80% left hand or non-dominant hand and 20% the right. All your right is doing, and honestly guys, all your right is doing is just supporting the racket. You're holding it, but your left is the one taking the racket back. Your left is the one that's going to allow the tip of the racket to drop. The left hand is the one that's going to go towards the ball. The left hand is the one that's going to brush the ball and then come around. Okay, 80% left, 20% right. If you use majority right, you're going to be swinging a little bit too like brutally towards the ball.
Muscling the ball maybe a little bit, and exactly. You will struggle probably with getting spin, right? So the left hand is kind of like a forehand, right? Like you're playing it a bit like a forehand, but you have the other hand for support.
Yes, yes. Great tip also, practice I've seen a lot of people practice to hit the ball with the left hand, which is fantastic because it gets you the feeling with your left, because at the end of the day you want to use majority left or majority non-dominant than your dominant hand. But I'm going to give you a very easy tip that's going to change so much for you. When you practice hitting the ball, hold it as if you're holding two hands and then let go of the right. Okay, I see far too many people taking this advice and then they hold the left hand at the bottom, but then again, this is not real. You're not able to move the racket as smoothly, as swiftly, brush it, because your left hand, first of all, is weaker. Second of all, you never hold it there with your left. So let's make it as close to real as possible, as close to real life as possible, holding it in the correct place, and practice brushing the ball. You can even have someone feeding you the ball. You can even have a basket next to you. Just toss yourself the ball and get that feel with your left hand, okay? The left hand. You can stand very close to the net and oblige yourself to brush it over the net while you're being very close, just to make sure that you're getting the spin and margin over the net that's necessary.
Yeah, it's similar to what we talked about with the one-handed backhand, like getting that feeling that you can get the ball over the net even at pretty close to the net distance. Like we talk about that on the one-handed backhand, like how the wrist works. And in this case, you have to do it with your non-dominant hand. Like let that work out and do the stroke. And very good tip that it's not hitting a left-handed forehand with the grip down. It's actually closing up towards the throat of the racket like you would hit the backhand. So that's a great tip.
Choke it up.
Choke it up, yeah.
Use majority left hand. I'm going to say it again. The left hand is the one that makes the tip drop. Okay, as you can see, the tip is beneath my wrists, beneath contact point. If I'm going to contact the ball on this height, I keep my wrist on the height of the ball, but my tip of the racket is beneath the level of the ball. As I approach the racket towards my impact position, that's when I come over it using my left hand and come around. Okay, that's going to create those revolutions on the ball. You're going to get margin over the net, and the ball should be dropping before the baseline. And if they float a little bit long, it's only because you haven't included enough brush on the ball. If you're going long, brush the ball a little bit more and it's going to go in. Very often I see that if the balls are going long, you start hitting softer. It's not about hitting harder and softer is what's going to make the ball go longer or shorter. Okay, it's the brush. And it's not about hitting it softer so the ball lands closer. I tell you, Sinner and Alcaraz are hitting much stronger than myself and Jonas and most of you guys do, or probably all of you. It's not about hitting it slower in order for the ball to go in. Hit the ball with more intensity. It should be the other way around. The more you accelerate, the more the ball will drop. It's kind of, it feels
intuitive, yeah.
Yes, counterintuitive, but give it a go. Give it a go. And again, don't try during a match or during a rally with someone that has waited a week for you to hit. No, practice on your own time, and then you'll make it happen during a real scenario.
Yeah, that's an interesting concept that me and my buddy Nils talked about the other day, is that like when you're actually doing a proper practice session or even a training match or whatever with a hitting partner, you should be ready to just focus on hitting your strokes and playing your game. Don't use that as like your own technique training session. That you should do in your own spare time with a ball machine or with a coach. I think that's important because it's very difficult to play tennis properly when you overthink and you're thinking about technique or rackets or whatever. So you need to be in the moment and play tennis, and that's a good tip. Do the work before. When you get to the court, you're ready to go.
Exactly.
Okay, so the double-handed backhand, like the footwork and the preparation, that is complicated for a guy like me who plays one-handed backhand and struggles with that. But Adri, he knows the way.
Okay, I gave an excellent footwork drill, okay, that kind of goes down to the basics of how the leg should work, which foot should move first, which foot should move last, and also that being done, also the recovery. If you haven't watched the video, go and watch the forehand video, because that's where I explain it, and so I don't need to explain it again in this video. So, and also I push you to watch the other one too.
Yeah.
All right. So, but anyway, I move towards the ball. What I want to do on the backhand, double-handed and one-handed backhand, okay, the double-handed and the one-handed backhand, is to have an open foot, kind of like a 45-degree angle on your front leg, okay? Because that open foot is going to allow you that post-contact, you can rotate. It also allows your body momentum to come around Okay, it really allows you to swing around smoothly, naturally. If you close, you can even try this. If you have your foot totally parallel to the line, I already feel my hip is blocking, so the most I can twist is to like here. But if I open my foot, suddenly I can go way more. And just that little detail is a huge deal when it comes to hitting the double-handed backhand, but also the one-handed backhand, okay? At the end of the day, they are very similar. The only difference is the two-handed backhand, of course, you have two hands on the racket, and your contact point is a little bit closer to the body. And a one-handed backhand is a little bit further from the body. You have a further reach when you have one hand. But
yeah,
anyway,
that's the benefit, I guess, is that the reach is a bit better, but the stability you get from hitting two hands,
Yeah.
taking balls on the rise, returns a little bit easier with the two hands. So
Yeah.
there are a few benefits, of course, that we even discussed in the one-handed backhand video, why the two-hander is kind of like taking over a little bit. It's not, you know, completely dominating, but it's quite strong. Still, one-handed backhand is more beautiful, if you ask me. One thing I want to point out is, like, yeah, Richard Gasquet calls this step, like for the one-hander, that is the same for the two-hander, the power step, like the step that gives you stability, that, you know, helps you center yourself towards hitting the ball. And I think that's very important on both shots.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and since you mentioned that, John, I'm going to ask you to stand there for 1 second.
Yep.
Watch this. As I'm moving towards the ball, okay, my second to last step is going to be my left and then right. And that automatically makes me have the forward momentum into the shot, okay? If you first go right and then left, your last step is kind of behind you, and it can very often make you hit on the back leg, leaning backwards. Try this. First left and then right. Okay, it's going to be much more natural to step into the ball when you're hitting, having your body momentum moving forward. You're kind of coming in to meet the ball. If you first go right and left, you're going to be hitting it more on the back leg. Your balls are going to maybe float. They're going to get too high of a hitting trajectory. The ball trajectory is going to be higher than what you'd expect or higher than you wanted, and maybe sometimes you don't understand why. You say to yourself, yeah, but I had a wide base and my foot was such and such. Yeah, but if you first put right and then left, you're going to be on your back foot. Go first left and then right. The next step I'm going to talk about is the preparation. As we did talk about, the first thing is moving towards the ball. And once you're at the ball, then the next step is hitting the ball. Although we do need to prepare as we are moving, but at the end of the day, if we're not by the ball, we're not going to hit the ball. So first thing is to move. As you're moving, you're preparing. Okay, so I do my split, and as soon as I take my first step, I prepare. If it's further away, I prepare. Notice how my chin is above my shoulder, okay? It's not that I put it there, but I just unit turn enough that my shoulder ends up beneath my chin, and because I'm looking at the ball coming towards me, I have a full unit turn with my upper body. When I take my racket back, you want to take it back parallel to the floor. Okay, whether if it's coming at a regular height, you take it back like this. If it's coming higher, you might want to take it back like this. And if it's coming lower, you might want to get down, never with your back. You always want to get down from your knees, from your legs, down and take it back straight. But it's always straight. You don't want to be changing your motion depending on the ball that's coming. Your motion should try to be always the same. The more repeatable it is, the better technique you have. The easier it is to do it over and over again, and the easier it is to be more consistent with the ball. So you just take it back horizontally, parallel to the floor. Notice how my tip of the racket is slightly looking upwards. Okay, and that's going to help me then to drop and create that lag. Okay, I take it back, I drop and create the lag. Some people prepare like Alcaraz. Okay, Alcaraz has a little bit more of a racket face. The string bed is facing not totally forward, but a little bit more forward. It's not like this, it's more here. That's totally fine, but that's going to be a much flatter shot. I kind of call it, it's like a scoop. They kind of like scoop into the ball. Cameron Norrie also hits the ball like that. His is more extreme. He's totally here. His left elbow is even nearly above the head of the racket, and hits down on the ball and kind of creates like a slice-ish.
Yes, like a side spin on it, like Medvedev in some shots, you know,
yeah,
like a little bit.
So, I mean, it is doable. Do I advise it? No. They are very advanced. They've been hitting probably a million shots like that, and they end up knowing how to handle it. But do a shot that is repeatable for you 1,000 times, 10,000 times in a row, or try to get it as consistent as possible. And by doing that, if you keep the biomechanics very simple, taking the racket back parallel to the floor, let's say with a 45-degree angle on the racket, take it all the way back, and then you drop forward and brush and go around. Okay? Finish over your shoulder, kind of behind your head.
Think of like a golf stroke, kind of.
I see very often this, then your racket motion is going very steep upward. If your contact point is perfect, and then, okay, you can save yourself. But if your racket, if your hitting position is not perfect, you're gonna be scooping that ball way up in the sky. Let's get a motion that is from back to front, contact here. You continue, notice how my arm is still straight, and I can't go straight anymore. That's when I bend and I come around. Okay, and then you're optimizing your backhand stroke to get the most depth, the most pace, the most spin as possible. And when you combine those three things, that's an excellent quality backhand shot. When you prepare for the backhand, immediately you move towards the ball. You put the left foot and then the right. Okay, and so often I see this, you're hitting it, and then the first foot that moves after the shot is the right to come back to the middle. Looks something like this. Okay, all that momentum, inertia that you've built up to go into the ball, you're totally canceling it out in the last moment, and it's such a shame when I see people do this. It's like, it's that little detail of, instead of moving your right foot first, come around with your left, and then you recover. Okay?
Yeah, it's the same on all strokes. Like, you have to commit, right?
Yes,
You're committing
exactly.
to the stroke.
Good.
I think it makes a good point. Yeah.
Commit, hit it to the end. You've even put the effort in to open up your foot, okay? And that's gonna help you to come around. So use it. Use that open foot to come around, and then you push yourself off with the left foot. Okay, you come bam, as soon as you land with a wide base, and you push. The further you are from the center, you want to push and cross. Okay, it's a little bit faster. Watch some Federer footwork clips. I mean, basically all pros do it, but I think Federer moves fantastic on the court, and it's so smooth. And you'll notice that the further he is from the middle, his first step is a big cross.
So two-handed backhand video, done in many ways. I think our camera overheated, or our iPhone, really. But there was the last point was committing to your strokes, and that goes for the one-handed backhand, the forehand, any stroke really. Follow through, be confident. If it goes out, you have something to work with. But if you bail out and you take a back step, you lose balance, you lose quality, and you're kind of learning the wrong thing then. And we all do that, but we need to commit when we play tennis. And I think that's important with the footwork.
Yeah. And I want to add one thing to that. If you're missing long, it's not that you're hitting it too hard, or it's not usually the case. The case is usually that you're not accelerating enough through the ball. Okay, it's not that I'm hitting it so hard that the ball is going out. I tell you, like I did mention before, Sinner and Alcaraz and all these guys. I just mentioned two names, but basically every name on the top 100, they're hitting harder than all of us. And their ball is not going out, and the court is the same dimension for them and for us. So if they're going long, accelerate a little bit more the ball. The ball will get more revolutions. Maybe go from 400 to 800, or if you're on 500, try to get to 1,000 RPM, or if you're on 1,000, maybe get 1,500. Just get more RPM by accelerating more the ball, whether it's the forehand or the backhand, one-handed, two-handed, anything it may be.
And here I want to point out one thing about rackets, which is kind of my expertise here. If you feel like you cannot accelerate because the racket is too heavy, it might be too heavy. I mean, it could be your technique in general, which is obviously kind of an issue with all club players. At some stroke will obviously have issues. But A lot of players I see out there play with heavy rackets, very, very heavy ones, that cannot be accelerated to add more control and more spin and go for bigger targets. Because when you're playing a match, you get nervous. Like Adri says, don't start pushing the ball, start accelerating against bigger targets. Towards bigger targets, hit bigger targets. Don't try to go for lines and hit out and get really frustrated. So I think with so many people having too heavy of a racket, it's going to be more difficult to have that extra acceleration when you need to. Yeah, so just wanted to point that out.
No, very good point. And I think it's a lot the ego talking many times. Like, I use 330. Oh yeah, I use 335. Pros are going lighter and lighter. They're understanding that the lighter the racket, the faster I can move it, and at the end is the contact point with the speed of the racket that creates the power. So I mean, I think a lot about using heavier and heavier and heavier. I think is a lot of ego, I don't know, but it's not always beneficial. Use a racket that benefits you, okay? And of course, technical things, I think, is the biggest factor.
It's like, yeah, it's not usually the racket, it's the technique and then working on that. It's fun to test new rackets, but be aware of the weight because you want to be able to rip the ball and swing. And when you can hit every stroke, you're going to get so much more confidence and have much more fun on the court. Like, that's where you can work with the racket and generate more spin and use it to do every shot that's more fun than just hitting like flat hammers down the line, which I see sometimes people just focus on. So great two-handed backhand tips. I want to reach out to you guys and say, hey, if you have questions, put them in the comments. In the future, me and Adri are planning to do like a Q&A video of some kind. So we will look at the comments as well then, and maybe, complete and follow up on some videos where we maybe didn't cover a technical aspect which you wonder about, or cover some other aspect of the video. So let us know, and we're very happy for the feedback. And if you have positive things to say, please say them, because it makes us more inspired to do more, especially now when Adri is going to be traveling a lot. I will be traveling a lot, so we need to do a little bit more logistics to get this working.
Yes, and adding on to that is that when we're having a session now where we are teaching you the double-handed backhand, we're not going to cover every single detail and every single inch or centimeter of the swing. Cover the most important aspect that occurs to me in the moment. A little bit reading your comments that you guys ask for, so we introduced that too into the video, but we don't have time, or doesn't occur to us every single detail. Is very difficult to, so please write it down, make a list, write it to us, and then in a future video we can make a double-handed backhand part 2 and part 3 and so forth. So yeah, don't hesitate to ask us anything you want.